Hey everybody. So it's time to talk about one of the three games that I've been kind of engrossed in for the past month or so. Armored Core 6. Not going to really be a review per se, just kind of just talking about things I liked and what I didn't like about the game. I guess you could call it a review, but technically not, because it's very subjective and these are just my opinions anyways. You know, because someone I could tell be like, oh, this is what I liked about the game, and someone picks it up and they don't really like it. So, you know, it's all subjective. It's just my opinions. I just like to talk about the games because it's better than, I don't know, I guess, not talking about them at all. So, I'll just have gameplay in the background. Yeah, this is all just like, you can just listen to it. I'm just having it in the background. But anyways, let's go off of basically just like the gameplay in this game was fantastic. You feel so super fast and zippy in it. Well, unless you build a tank build, I guess. Then in which case you're a little bit slower. I never really built tank builds. I either did reverse joints, bipedals, or the lightweight tank or something. I only did that one time. And that was for like a boss that was like really a pain in the ass, and apparently tank builds are really OP in this game. They're really OP in this game. Like, I guess if you really want to trivialize a boss, just put double gats, the stun needle launchers on your back, and then be a tank build, and you'll actually have a much easier time killing bosses. But we could talk more about that later on in some of the things that I didn't like. But this mech that you see here, this AC that I have here, was kind of the build I used a lot. I either rotated between the two Zimmerman shotguns, or I used the double gats. I always had the songbird on the right, and then sometimes I'd have the melee weapon, but most of the time I had a melee weapon, and then other than that, I would either switch that out for maybe some missiles, something more long range if I needed it. But yeah, usually this was kind of like my build that I relied on heavily. And but yeah, the gameplay was absolutely fantastic. When you're doing like one-on-one AC battles, oh, it was so good because you're both just zipping around, like shooting at each other, trying to stagger each other to get like the big damage hits in there. And like everybody's just, and you know, you're dodging the missiles, you're dodging their missiles and stuff. It was like, that was probably the biggest highlight of the game. And then there was some bosses that absolutely were really fun to fight. And then there was some that I kind of wish would get toned down a little bit, because they seem kind of ridiculous a little bit. And but yeah, we could talk about that in the negatives. But like overall, like the gameplay was fantastic. I don't think anybody could say that was going to be a problem in this game. It's like the mechs feel good. Like if you have a lightweight mech, you feel really fast and agile and very, you know, and you're very squishy, you know, which is perfect, lends to it. Build like this is kind of standard. You have a little bit more durability, but you're not as fast. But like, you know, you're still fast enough. You know, you're kind of like the you know, like in Dark Souls games where you have like the what was it? Was it A agility? No, not A agility. C? Was it C agility? So it allowed you to not fat roll. You know what veterans of those games know what I'm talking about. You're not fat rolling, but you're agile, but you're not super agile. That's kind of what my build was. I liked the more average one where I had some firepower, and then yeah, some firepower, but then also kind of mobile enough. And this is a perfect example of what I was talking about, like your AC fights, your one-on-one AC fights. You're just like zipping around and stuff, and then yeah, and then some of the bosses were like that too. Once you got to learn their patterns, that was also really cool. The customization, oh man, you can spend hours just building mechs, and it's cool because they give you so many pages of loadouts too, where you can just add a bunch of loadouts and stuff of like different customized ACs. You know, you'll save your paint job, your decals, and all that stuff. You can get really creative even with your decals. The image editor was really good. I've seen some really good looking images. You know, I saw one for like the cyberpunk, the samurai from Cyberpunk, the samurai logo. I saw like what was her name? Bubbles? No, not Bubbles. The green one from the Powerpuff Girls. I saw someone make that. That was rather impressive. You know, I've seen like the Elden Ring logo. You know what I mean. But there's been some really good image editors, and it's only going to get better as like the months go on. Because this, like, the game's only been out for almost a month now. So yeah, people would just be spending, like, I've heard people say that they spend hours in the editor. You know, people have spent hours in the AC editor. Like, yeah, you could spend so much time in that. I've even done it myself. I've spent several hours like building different mechs. You know. So those are some of the best parts of the game, and it lets credence to the old games, because yes, this is not my first Armored Core game. I have played some of the older ones on the PS2. I played what was it, The Last Raven. I'm trying to remember some of the other ones off the top of my head. Yeah, I can't remember, but I think I played more of the spin-offs than like the numbered titles. You know, and I remember spending hours in there building the mechs. You go into the arena to fight, and you know, most time I get my butt beat, you know, because I was still a young kid. I wasn't used to like hard games, but I was having a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, I have played the old Armored Core games, so I'm definitely not. This isn't my first Armored Core game. There are some things that are different, of course, like, you know, the gameplay is different in its own way, because I don't believe the old games had stagger. It's been so many years, so I can't remember off the top of my head. So I think this is the first one that had stagger. This one has repair kits. I don't think the old one had repair kits, because you'd go in there, you'd basically go on the mission, because the missions are not very long. That's how the Armored Core games is. You go in them, and if you know what you're doing, you can beat the missions in under 2 minutes, depending on the mission. Some of them are a little bit longer, might take you about 5-6 minutes, but roughly missions take you about 2 to 3 minutes. Sometimes it can be even faster if you just rush through it, get to the final fight, and then you finish it. And then there's others where you have one-on-one fights where they're literally like a minute. If you're really efficient with destroying other armor cores. Oh, this boss. This boss is the bane of a lot of people's existence. He was the bane of my existence, especially when you first fight him. When you fight him the first time, he's tough. But it's like once you start getting more parts, like, he's easy. You'll see this, especially when you get miniguns and stuff. He's easy. But it's like the first time you fight him, he's really, really tough. And yeah, like there's a few bosses like that where the first time you fight him, they're pretty tough. He's one of them, but I definitely won't say he's a bad boss compared to some of the other ones. I actually rather enjoy him after you learned him. There's some things about it that are stupid, like his missile barrage. There's hard to dodge sometimes, trying to do like no damage on it, and sometimes you'll get hit like off screen. But yeah, that's definitely one of my negatives. Was there's quite a few attacks that you'll get hit off the screen by, and I don't like that. I was never really a huge fan of like getting blown up off screen. You know, you'll see it, because that's kind of the strat to deal with his missiles, is you want to get close to him and start dodging, but you saw that like that time I didn't dodge it all that well and I got stunned for it. But yeah, there's some bosses that they're just shooting so many lasers. There's just so much shit going on the screen, where it's just like you're getting hit off screen, and it's like, geez Louise, have fun dodging that, and then you'll get stunned like immediately, and then if you get hit by one of their follow-up attacks, like, you take some big damage. But that's obviously the loop of the game. That's how it's supposed to go. You're supposed to stun the enemies, because you do it to them as well, but they can do it to you. But they tend to stun you a little bit faster than they did me. But overall, it's a fun mechanic. Like, there's some parts where it's just like, geez, this is ridiculous. You know, you get stun locked and you're just dead. Like, obviously, you know, that's just kind of how the FromSoft games go. You can just die really quickly. Happens in Dark Souls games. You know, it's kind of the formula they have adopted, you know, since doing Dark Souls. Where if you're not careful, you make too many mistakes, you just die instantly, you know, and it can get pretty frustrating. But there's a kind of a difference, though. In the Dark Souls games, a lot of the enemies' attacks are telegraphed. They're easier, you know, like if you read them, you can dodge them pretty easily. In this game, there's some attacks where it's just like, holy crap, what the hell am I supposed to do to dodge this? Like, there's one boss in particular, he's a later game boss, I might talk about it in spoilers. Yeah, you know, where I'll talk about the bosses. I'm not gonna necessarily talk about the story because the story is pretty bog standard, you know. Like it's there and it's very interesting, you know. It has some interesting premises to it, but it's one of those things where it's like people will talk to you. You work for corporations, you know. You either work for corporations, you make some choices, and then like, you know, you're trying to either save Rubicon or, you know, whatever. You know, it's a pretty it's a pretty standard story, you know. It's like it's not one of those like woo, but it's actually it's good for what it is. But obviously the game's not built to be a story game. It's built to be a, you know, it's a gameplay oriented game. Get on your missions, fight other you know ACs, and basically be a total badass. You know, feel like this totally badass AC pilot. You know, that's the whole point of the game. But like yeah, going back to my previous point where I was saying that, like, yeah, when you're dodging attacks, there's just some attacks that these bosses do. They're just like, what in the hell? How am I supposed to dodge that? You know? And I tried like several different ways, you know, going up, going down, going to left, going right, going backwards, you know? And it just felt like every single time I just could not dodge that attack, you know? So maybe it could have been something I'm not doing right, or you know, could have been my AC or something like that. I don't know. It felt like some attacks were just extremely unbalanced. That's one of the things I did not like. There's some bosses that just like they just had ridiculous attacks, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, this is ridiculous. This needs to be toned down. And then there's one mission in particular, I'll talk about that later in the spoilers. That, holy crap, worst mission in the game. Worst absolute mission in the game. And for those who are hearing what I'm talking about, have played this game 3 times over, because you can only get it in New Game Plus Plus, you know exactly which mission I'm talking about. Fuck that mission. Fuck it, like absolutely hardcore. I built a tank for that mission just to basically beat it. And I beat it the first try, because I was trying to do it with my other ACs like this, my reverse joint, and tried to do it with my lightweight, and I could not do it. Could not do it. Tried several times, and then build a tank AC, beat it in 1 try. That's how busted tank builds are. It's ridiculous. But I'm pretty sure there'll be some patches, you know. Hopefully they buff some of the lesser performing weapons, because I feel like there's some weapons in there that are very, very weak. Laser weapons, for example, I feel are kind of weak. Like, you can make them work, but I feel like they're very weak compared to like some, like especially Gatling guns and shotguns. Like these Gatling, well, I'm using submachine guns because I'm using these submachine guns, which I find rather fun. Like, they build up the stagger not too fast, not as fast as like the Gatling gun does, but they build up the stagger, which is quite nice. I like them. They're fun. They're just not super powerful, you know. Which you can use them. Obviously, you can use whatever you want against the bosses, but some builds are better against other different bosses. It's kind of how it goes. Some builds will be much better. Other builds will struggle a little bit more, but you can make them work. I've seen people beat bosses, you know, with less optimal builds, I guess, if you want to call them that. And it's like one of the things I hope that they just buff more things so they're like other different weapons are viable, because I want to use I like to use a plethora of different. I don't want to be stuck using like 1 or 2 different kinds of weapons. I wanted to use different, you know, a myriad of different kinds of builds, and I've done that. I actually built this double pistol, double shotgun kind of build. The Sweet 16s. I didn't use the Zimmermans, I used the Sweet 16s, and then I had the double ducats. Basically, you just build up the stagger gauge with the double ducats, and then basically as soon as you hit them with the stagger, just switch immediately over to the Sweet 16s and just boom! Just shoot them once, and you do some pretty sick damage with it. Excessive Profanity, I actually got that build from his Excessive Profanity. He's a streamer on Twitch. Go check him out. He's actually been playing Armored Core lately. So I got that build from him, and I built one myself. Not the same exact one, but I just took kind of his weapon loadout, and I incorporated it onto one of my own ACs, a more lightweight one. It's really fun, actually. It's incredibly fun. Yeah, so like, you know, there's definitely a lot of viable, like if you're doing missions like this, you can use whatever you want. Some bosses you may have to kind of default to a more like I guess meta build. Maybe you don't, but it would just take you a lot longer to fight the bosses. But like that's kind of the thing with the bosses. It almost got to it was like one of the points where it was just like you wanted to burst them down before they could really do anything, you know. So that was kind of why I defaulted to like double Gatling guns or double shotguns, because you could stagger them really quickly, and it almost and you just instead of trying to dodge their attacks, just negate them, you know. It ended up turning into that, where it was just kind of like you know, it was a little bit frustrating. But that's just my opinion on it. Some people may like that kind of thing, I guess. But like multiple playthroughs, you just kind of like, or multiple times fighting the missions, because you want to kind of go through them and earn money to buy all the parts, you know. So you have to sometimes repeat some of these missions, and you don't want to be stuck like fighting the same boss like 50 times. Well, maybe that might be too much, but you get the picture. Sometimes you just want to get through there and beat him. But like the Balteus fight, yeah, he's easy on subsequent fights, especially when you start getting more parts. He's easy to beat. But yeah, so I think I talked about some of the things I didn't like. Some of the weird imbalances in the game, you know what I mean? Like there's definitely some weird imbalances. And then like the levels, oh yeah, I wanted to talk about this. The levels were, like a lot of the levels were fantastic looking. I love the aesthetic of the levels. But they definitely didn't have like the Dark Souls kind of level design to them. Which I guess we shouldn't have expected that, because this was not supposed to be a Dark Souls game. They even said that. This was supposed to be an Armored Core game. And the levels are very linear. You can find stuff. There's definitely hidden parts for you to find, which is pretty cool. And then there's combat logs that you can pick up. You know, so there is like some exploration in the levels and stuff. But then like you'll notice that like they weren't very, the levels were pretty straightforward, you know. There was some little beaten paths that you can take. Yeah, you can watch me get my ass absolutely destroyed by this dude. Don't get trapped in the corner by this guy. He will make you pay the price. And I tried to fight him with my submachine gun build, and then I ended up switching over to my shotgun one, because I'm like, alright buddy, you trapped me in the corner, now I'm going to destroy you. But yeah, it's like, you killed me once, now I'm going to destroy you. Because this was always the tried and true build, you know, do the Zimmermans and stuff, and then just absolutely destroy him. Pile bunker, you know. But yeah, the levels are pretty straightforward. But I love the aesthetic of it. And anybody who says this game does not look good, it looks like a PS2 game, it's not. I mean, yes, it has the PS2 level design, the PS2 design to it, which isn't even a bad thing. It actually works really well for this game. You know, the PS2 game design. That's actually not a bad thing at all. You know, get in, get out, do your levels, move on. You know, fight your boss, fight your ACs, move on. Is there anything else that I wanted to say that I really liked about the game? Some of the characters, Rusty was amazing. I just had to point that out. Rusty was awesome. He was so cool. That kind of like rivalry you had with him, like, was pretty awesome. And that camaraderie, I guess, you built with him, it's pretty cool. I'm trying to think of what else. Like, I think most of my gripes came with like how some things were kind of unbalanced. Definitely felt unbalanced. Yeah, so hopefully FromSoft fixes that. So yeah, that's mostly my biggest complaint on that. Other than that, I couldn't really think of anything else that I didn't like about the game. Other than some of the bosses. Some of the bosses I didn't like. I just didn't like them at all. I felt like they were just kind of ridiculous. Like they just were not playing by the same rules as you were. Cause you're over there like quick boosting and like you're running out of stamina. These dudes are quick boosting all over the map, you know. They're like, and then they'll teleport to like the other side of the map. You gotta chase them, and I hate chasing bosses. I absolutely cannot stand chasing bosses. It's one of the things. It's one of the things I don't like. When I have to chase them, and especially with like some of the arenas being as big as they are, you know, when you have to chase them around, it's like, geez Louise, you're spending all your boost. All your boost trying to chase the guy, and then you can't dodge anything, and then he just teleports to the other side of it, and it's like, oh my god, so awful. you know. But that's mostly just personal preference, I guess. You know, I don't know if other people feel the same way. That's just how I feel about it. I didn't like some bosses. Other bosses were really, 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 really cool. Or like, yeah, 10 out of 10 type shit, you know. But overall, like, I really love the game. Like, I really, really did love this game. It was amazing. It's definitely in my top 5 games of this year. But yeah, so I think now, since with this, I think now I'll go and talk more spoilery about some of the bosses. So for anybody who doesn't want to get spoiled on some of these bosses, you want to see them for yourself, go ahead and leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I guess I will see you guys in the next video, which I think might be Baldur's Gate 3. I still haven't figured out how I'm going to do that. Either do Mass Effect gameplay or something in the background, or try to figure out some way to record it on my PC, because I don't have it on console, even though now it's on PS5. But I think it's still in early access. But for it, yeah, anyways, that's going to be like my next video. I'm going to talk about Baldur's Gate 3, and I have a lot to say about that game. Woo! I'm looking forward to it. Just like I have a lot to say about this game too. So I'm going to talk more spoilery stuff. So yeah, so if you guys don't want to talk, like, get spoiled about some like later game bosses or their mechanics or anything like that, go ahead and click away now. Alright, so now if you're gone, anybody who's here sticking around and want to hear me bitch about some of the bosses, I'm going to talk about one of them specifically, and this one mission I didn't like. So you know the Coral Convergence mission? It's one of the ones at the almost towards the end of the game, just before you get imprisoned, and you fight that boss. I can't remember, that sea weapon boss or whatever. That dude sucks. That was the guy that I had most of my complaints about. With, like, there was so many lasers on screen and you get hit off screen and stuff, and you just couldn't, like, and then sometimes you just could not dodge it and you're getting staggered, and the next thing you know, the dude hits like this crisscross slash sword attack, which even if he did that solo, that thing was hard to dodge, and it wasn't consistent at all. And if he hit you with it, he took like a quarter of your health, and if you were stunned, oh lord, you were either dead depending on your health, or you're in blinking red. You know, it was terrible. That boss fight was awful. And he was the one that I was specifically talking about, where he teleported across the map. And he was not playing by the same rules as you. Like, he just did not get staggered at all. You know? And it was ridiculous. That fight's one of the more ridiculous ones. Because, like, the whole time he's just shooting missiles at you. He's moving at the speed of light. I wouldn't say the speed of light, but he's moving really, really fast. And yeah, good luck keeping up with him if you weren't using like the actual lock on. If you were just trying to use like the soft lock, trying to keep up with him, you were constantly having to like turn and stuff, and you were running out of boost because you were quick boosting trying to dodge his lasers. Like, that fight felt a little unbalanced, but it's definitely doable. Like, if you, I guess the plus side to him is that he's very weak. If you stagger him, you can do a lot of damage to him quickly because he has 2 phases. You know, so you could burst him down really fast, which is what I did. That was basically the rule. Like, the rule to that guy is to burst him down. Kill him quicker than he can kill you. You know what I mean? I guess, but that's not really a bad strat. That's kind of what you want to do with a lot of bosses. Kill them before they kill you, I guess. So it's not really like a very original strategy, but you know. But a lot of builds, I think I tried a lightweight build against him. Have fun with that. You're too squishy, you know? You'll move faster, but you're too damn squishy. Maybe I'll try it again now that I have a little bit more experience under my belt, after I've beaten it 3 times. Beaten the game 3 times. Maybe I'll try it again, because I think I still got to get a combat log from that if I want to end up platinuming this game. But yeah, that's one of the bosses I didn't like. Another boss I didn't like was the air boss, one of the final bosses, the one where you fight against air. Holy shit, that boss fucking sucks with anything other than a tank build. With anything other than a tank build, that boss sucks. Have you seen the video? Someone did a video where he built a tank video. He didn't move at all and easily killed her. That's how ridiculous tank builds are. It's it's insane. And that's when I used the lightweight tank. I used the smaller treads, so it allowed me to move a little bit faster, but I wasn't like exactly like a tank. And I beat her in 2 tries. It was hilarious. I was stuck on her for probably like a half hour, I think. And I was building like I was spending all my money building different building different ACs, trying to combat different ways. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try this, and none of them worked. I get her to the second phase, and the second phase she would just mollywop me, because she does like new attacks. You know, she had a second phase and just mollywop the hell out of me. Especially with those melee attacks that she had. Holy crap! It was frustrating, and I just did not like her, because it was like I was pigeonholed into playing a tank build. And I didn't want to play tank builds, because it's not really my style. I don't like big, burly, heavy things, you know? So I guess it was kind of nice I built a lightweight tank. So it was enough for me to be more durable, I guess. So that works. You know, lightweight tanks. Not a heavy-duty one. Because I tried a heavy-duty one, and it didn't work for me. I felt too clunky. I was taking way more damage than if I was just like a speedy boy, you know? And I guess some people would say, that's a skill issue, you know? But whatever, it is what it is. It's still not enough to make the boss really cool. Like, aesthetically it looked cool, the attacks look cool, the state, like the arena you fight her on is really cool looking. Yeah, like all that's cool. I just didn't like the boss, because it was like, this is freaking stupid, because I had to use something I didn't want to use, you know what I mean? And I just thought it was stupid. Don't know if I'll fight her again. I've only ever fought her once. I beat her and I haven't fought her again. So maybe I'll try again and see what happens. Maybe, we'll see. But that was, I think those were like the 2 bosses that I did not like. And as far as that mission, the worst mission in the game was definitely in New Game Plus. And as I said earlier, anybody who's still listening knows exactly which mission I'm talking about. It's the one where you're supposed to save the tanker instead of destroy it. And you know, when you get there, the sea weapons blow it up, they jump down, and those little fuckers are fast as hell. Dude, they're zipping all over the stage and stuff. You're losing lock-ons to these dudes. They're hitting you in the back with missiles. You're getting hit in the back with missiles. These dudes are speeding around the map. You're losing lock-on. It was so annoying to deal with. Then when you kill those dudes, if they had burned through all of your repair kits, you have to deal with the little spinny wheels that you deal with in the coral convergence mission that are in the water. You know which ones I'm talking about. Those guys suck even worse than the speedy boys. They're spinning around, you know, and then like you can't fight them head on, which is not what you're supposed to do. So you want to try to stay in the air. They're shooting missiles at you too, and then like you'll run out of boost, and then like they'll catch you on the ground, and if they catch you on the ground, like 3 of them come at you, and you're just dead. Because they're hitting you with their blades, their spinning blades. But then you're getting hit by the missiles and stuff. And their weakness was explosive damage, so you want to try to kill them fast, but you're already weak. You're already weak by fighting the speedy little tank dudes. You know, like those dudes were not playing by the same rules. It was utter bullshit with anything other than a tank build. So like, yeah, I struggled on that mission. I'm like, dude, this mission is terrible. It is wholly unbalanced. And I don't think it has anything to do with it being a skill issue. I don't think anybody likes that mission. That mission sucks. So like, after playing it around with like different, I thought, play Speedy Boy. Maybe then I can like speed, like, you know, speed for speed kind of thing. No, that didn't work. I'm too squishy. I tried my normal build, you know. I tried like my burst build. Oh, let me burst them down real quick. Hell no, they're too fast. I was losing lock on them. They just burnt through my repair kits before the wheel guys get there. Cause then you have to go through the wheel group of enemies. Then a couple more of the little tank speedy boys show up. Then you got to deal with them, and it's like, holy crap, it's a freaking mess. That mission is a mess. And I get it, New Game Plus Plus, it's supposed to be hard, but not that hard. That's utterly ridiculous. Because they're not even bosses. They're not even bosses. They're just regular ass enemies. So what you end up doing is that, like, I built a tank build, you sit in one of the craters and you wait for the enemies to come to you. And you basically just, like, you'll fight them one at a time. And then, like, they'll just be, like, zipping around in the thing. Don't move from the crater. Just sit in the crater. And then just wait for them to come to you. And then just stun them with your shotguns or your needle launchers. And then just do damage to them. And just war of attrition. You know? Basically just play very defensively. Wait for them to come to you. And then just pick them off. That's what I did. And it worked. First damn try. First damn try. Tank builds are ridiculous. Tank builds are actually ridiculous. So I really, really, really hope, I'm gonna say it again, that they make more things viable, because I built many different kinds of builds. I've looked up other YouTubers' builds, you know, and incorporated them in my own, and been like, hey, I want to try these. So I hope they make them more viable. See, like PvP, I'm pretty sure you can in PvP. I haven't played PvP. I might. I haven't played PvP, but I've heard, you know, some people don't like it, other people do. Other people think it's really fun. But it is kind of dominated by like a shotgun meta. I think shotguns, missile boats, pistols I think were strong. I don't know if they're dominating it, but I know shotguns are kind of there. Gatling guns are there. You know, kind of the things that you can use to dominate PvE are pretty much there in PvP. So I haven't played it, but I might try it now, you know, now that I've beaten it 3 times. So, yeah. I think that's all I'm really going to say about that. I'm going to let this last clip play out. Or I think after this cutscene plays out, I think I'll end the video here. So yeah, these are kind of just my thoughts. I just wanted to talk about the game. I really, really loved it. Armored Core 6 was a fantastic game. Definitely one of my top 5. I don't know if it... I think it might even be my top 3. I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure yet. But, yeah. Really love this game. I'm looking forward to play more of it, play some more PvP and stuff like that. And yeah, really, it was a really good game. You know, FromSoft delivers yet again. Other than, you know, some gripes, but not every game's perfect. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. I will see you guys in my Baldur's Gate 3 discussion, which I have a lot to say about that. So yeah. Look forward to that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
You'll never climb the wall, Corporation Dog! Coral! Abide with Rubicon!
2 repair kits remaining.